Welcome back to my channel, my video series, whatever I want to call it. I know it has been a couple of weeks since my last video. For those of you who are just tuning into me making video, that happens. I'll make a couple videos back to back to back to back, and then life, client jobs, vacation, I went to Disney, stuff like that will get in the way, and it will kind of stop me from doing videos for a little bit until I find the time to get back at it. So today is that day. I am back again to do some video, and today I am going to update you on what's going on with my bed, which actually hasn't been that much, and then show you how I fill holes in sheet metal, little small circular holes, pretty quickly. So I've gone through now and I've drilled all of the mounting holes to hold this fender on the side of the bed. It's actually mounted on pretty solidly now. One thing that I did notice, however, was that when I was drilling, I put a few holes in that I actually didn't need. Actually, this was what I used to hold this sheet metal in, and I thought it was one of these. I thought there was a center hole, but there isn't. So I have to fill this hole, and then I'm also going to fill this hole and that hole because really I don't need them. And the way that I'm going to do that, so there's a couple of different ways. Unfortunately, this is a little bit too big for me to just MIG it in. I mean, I could probably try and bridge that gap, but it's a little bit sloppy and it's just not really going to be the way that I want to do things. So instead of just trying to jam this with MIG, what I end up doing when I'm going to fill a hole like that is actually use a washer. What I like to use are these little washers. This is just a Hillman kit. Obviously, I've used a lot of them as washers, but then they also work for pretty good fillers. Find a washer that's, you know, about the size of the hole that I want to fill, and then I just kind of slip it in there and magnet it from the other side. This one actually fits pretty well. So I magnet it in from the other side, MIG it in, and then filling the hole in the middle of the washer is much more reasonable than filling this hole. I'm going to just enlarge a couple of the holes so that these washers fit in, and then I'll put the camera on the tripod and get some footage of me just zapping these in. And it'll be a really quick way to fill these holes. And it'll also end up being a really quick video so that I can get back into producing videos pretty quickly. Also, if you look at these washers, they're about the gauge of the metal that I need. So it's gonna work out perfect. What I've gone through and done now is I've cleaned up this hole. I ground around it and I actually wallowed it out just a little bit. I find for that using a step bit works really well because you end up creating a hole that's just the right size for the washer that you're gonna end up jamming in there. And then what I end up doing, especially for a hole this small, is instead of using one of these, I'm actually going to use this magnet that I use to pick up stuff because it will hold the washer quite well. This washer right here is just a little bit too small, so it kind of wants to jump into that little hole there, whereas this one will hold it nice and flat. So I'll show you what I mean. Let's line it up here. And now that is pretty much as flush as you would want it to be. So then all I got to do is tack this in on this side, weld it a little bit on the other side, hit both sides with the grinder, and then that is filled. Now I know that Eastwood does make really small sheet metal discs, but I don't have the time to order them. I don't really have the money to order them, or not that I don't have the money. I really don't want to spend the money on that. Whereas washers will work just fine, especially when you're using them in small amounts like this. And then you just go over with a little bit of filler and boom, the hole's gone. So I'm going to put this on the tripod, I'm going to zap this in, grind it down, and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. So now I've gone through and I have welded this in. I hit it down with some 60 on the flap disc there. Still some 80 to go. It's a tiny pinhole. I'm going to do that when I do the rest of these holes. And then I will come back sort of when I'm done all this, show you what the finished product looks like. But as you can tell already, just putting that washer in, the gauge is the gauge matched up well. The hole is gone. The little center hole is gone there. And it was much better than just trying to MIG a gap like this in or a gap like this in. Just fills it in nicely. With some new metal, and we will be able to take it from there. I'm going to fill up the rest of these holes. I'm not going to do a time lapse on that. It's going to be pretty boring just seeing me weld and grind again, but I will come back later once the rest of them are all filled in, show you what it's going to look like metal finished, and then we'll wrap this video up. Like I said, this is going to be a quick one so I can get back into producing some videos for you and updates on the truck. So let me get to it. I'll catch you in a minute. All right, so I've gone through and I've done my welding and grinding, and I'm going to show you how it sort of sorted out. So as you can see, I filled this hole, this hole, this hole, and that hole there. They've all turned out pretty well. There's a tiny little pinhole there. This one's pretty solid, and that one's pretty solid. Honestly, once I go over it with a little bit of filler, you're never really going to see any of that or notice it, especially when you consider that this bedside's got some dents in it and stuff like that. And for the 1,000th time, it's a patina truck, so I'm not going to stress about that too much, but I am pretty happy with how this filled out and how this video worked out. Quick little tip, it's something I did one night working in the garage, and I didn't have a chance to get out and get sheet metal. I kind of held the washer up to the hole, and I was like, hey, this is probably going to work. So hopefully this tip helps one of you out with your projects, and just keeps you going, keeps you in the groove in the garage, whatever night you might need to do something like this. So thanks for watching. Hit subscribe and notifications. I promise I am going to get more videos going again. I have a lot more work left to do to this bed. I've got to do this entire sort of other side, fix that. Again, it's not going to be quite as intense as this side. I don't need to put a whole new piece of metal in, but I do need to do some patchwork there. And then I actually have to square up this bed because it's a little cockeyed. So that's going to be a little bit of a process. And then we got to get to the body filler and matching the patina and all that good stuff. So there's a lot more content to come. Thanks for watching this video. I will see you in the next video. Hopefully not too long. I also have to make my way out to Izzy Fab and see how Jeff's making out with the truck. So I got a lot of content coming. And then I might also start dragging my camera to events. Who knows? I'm really excited that it seems like we are finally at a point where Ontario is kind of back to normal and things are going to be kicking off. So we'll see what the summer has to offer, and hopefully I bring my camera out a little bit more. If not, at the very least, you're going to see a lot more here from in my garage. So thanks again, and we'll catch you in the next video.